Hallo ihr Lieben, hier sind Isa und Jascha. Wir melden uns mal wieder vom Festerstand in Halle
4.
Halle 4 und der Stand ist
A213.
A213. Thanks, Isa. Danke dafür. Und wir sind heute nicht alleine, sondern wir haben eine Autorin bei uns zu Gast und wir werden ab jetzt ins Englische wechseln, damit wir uns hier ein bisschen unterhalten können. Hello and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Hello.
We're really excited to have you here. Can you tell us who you are and what you're doing here at Festhaus?
Certainly. My name is CJ Cooke, or Carolyn, and I am the Festa guest, the Leipzig Book Fair.
All right. Yeah, we have just attended the interview at one of the stages, the Nebelwald, I think it was, which was pretty exciting for us because, to be honest, I haven't read any of your books so far.
Yet.
And yeah, exactly. But we'll change that in a few days.
Yep.
We went on a little shopping trip. And yeah, one of the things that I was wondering, we know since Bram Stoker, we know that horror literature is pretty much an Irish thing, you could say, historically speaking.
Yeah.
There's so many famous Irish horror authors.
Right.
Do you think it's something particularly Irish that creates this horror vibe in fiction?
That's such an interesting question. I'm not sure. I think horror is such a big genre that I think there's various ways that we've come to it, and really it's a genre that explores what we fear, and I think it's also a genre that explores death. So there's many different paths that lead us to horror, and at different moments of history, I can see, that horror does different things in terms of how it connects with people and what it represents and how it portrays our experience of death and mortality. So I think with Ireland, obviously the history of Ireland and the potato famine and the battles that the Irish had against the English is all present, I think, there. For me, I like to explore what refuses to remain dead in my work. And I think that's very much a feminist story, which is why I'm interested in writing women's lives.
Yeah. Talking about female main characters, in the newest book, the Book of Witching, which we already bought here at Festas, we once again have a female protagonist.
Right.
Can you tell us something about the book in general? What is it about? What's your the whole concept?
The Book of Witching is a book that explores the life of Alison Balfour, and there's a contemporary narrative that deals with an ancient book, which is known as the Book of Witching, that contains evil magic. Both Alison Balfour and the Book of Witching are things that I came across in my research. So Alison Balfour was a real woman who lived in 1594 in Orkney, and her story of the witch trial just was something that moved me so much that I wanted to write about. And in the course of researching her life, I came across a folklore file in the Orkney archives, and I found this idea fascinating, that all the pages are black and they're filled with all the sins of the world and the evil of the world. And I just thought this was such an epic folkloric idea that I had to write about it. So I've combined the two with two timelines. And I like to do that because I feel like the past speaks very much to the present. So I like having the two timelines when I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have, like, I don't want to spoil something of the book, but is it more like a soul switch situation or more like ancestry situation? Or
it's ancestry, it's an ancestry situation. Yeah, and I'm interested in those links, and I'm interested also in possession. So I think possession narratives are really incredible when you can get them right.
Absolutely.
But here, I think it's okay to say that the link is ancestral.
Okay, that's very cool. And I also you told also about your other books that are still coming out next year, and also that you have a lot of research in it, and also very feminist themes or topics, like also motherhood. And how women were treated badly in history, especially in the Ghost Woods.
Yeah.
In English, it's Ghost Woods. Or
Yes, that's right.
Geisterwald in Deutsch.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's like you have like this very strong characters and also as character development in that because they were treated very badly.
Yeah.
And this is a very strong thing in history that women were very underrepresented and the stories were told wrong. And what inspired you to especially tell that story, for example?
In the Ghost Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was realizing that mother and baby homes were such a thing. I didn't realize. And the more I kind of explored it, the more I realized that the world was really set up against women. We think sometimes that progress is linear, but it's absolutely not. And when I look at medieval history, there were moments before the Norman invasion that women had far greater freedom than they did in the 20th century, which is extraordinary to think of. Yeah. But that is a fact. And with the mother and baby homes, access to contraception was really restricted. So naturally, a lot of women will fall pregnant. And if they did fall pregnant, they either had a choice of a backstreet abortion, which was expensive or it could kill. Yeah. And then you also had the option of going into a mother and baby home. It was really deeply unusual for women to raise children alone because also they had no means to sort of care for them, financially. Yeah. So mother and baby homes were such a prevalent thing and they were just dreadful. And often women would have their children given up for adoption without being part of the process, without knowing where the child was going, without ever having contact again, often without knowing the day they were going to be adopted. It was absolutely brutal. And and oftentimes women were pregnant not because of consensual sex. It was rape and so on. And so I was thinking a lot about this and really the main character, Mabel, sort of strolled onto the page and she was one of these women who didn't know why she was pregnant. She was very young and she ended up in a mother and baby home still processing what was going on with her body and how she became pregnant. So I feel like there's a lot to unpack with these mother and baby homes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was astonishing to me that I just never heard of them before until I was, in my 40s.
Yeah.
So I definitely felt that I wanted to write about that.
Yeah.
A little bit off topic from literature. During the interview which we attended, you were talking about that many rights that women have today are not that or more recent than you might think. Actually,
that's right.
For example, the right to work and to choose your own work. And when you talked about it, I think it was like in the 70s when that changed in Ireland.
That's right, yeah.
And I think that in Germany, the situation is quite similar. I think it was not until the 80s or something that women could choose their own job without their husband's consent. Yeah. So if you weren't married, then you had your life completely in the control of somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's a really horrific thought. And that's kind of a horror in itself, this being trapped in this situation. It's a cool thing to get this female perspective, especially in horror literature, which is a completely male-dominated.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Although women were, I think there's an argument that women kind of built the ghost story. It was, although M.R. James was made sort of the father, I think, of the ghost story. There's a vast female tradition in terms of contributing to the ghost story and using the ghost, particularly female ghosts, to signify that the only time a woman has agency is when she's dead, Because you have these raging kind of banshee-like figures. Yeah. They're always female, they're always angry and very vocal. And Shirley Jackson, I think, knew what she was doing with The Haunting of Hill House. So, I think there's a lot of kind of gender history present in the history of the horror story and particularly the ghost story.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's also a very new topic because of like female rage is a big thing at the moment.
It's a huge thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess that taps right into that. Yeah. Because more women should write and also read horror stories. Yeah. Because we are also like very common to body horror by ourselves. Because of course, our time of the month and stuff. So and giving birth and everything.
But I think also just in terms of how women's bodies have been, objectified and sexualized.
Absolutely.
You've got all of that, and I think it's really coming through into horror right now. So yeah, and also just not giving space to talk about our bodies in our own terms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's very cool to see that you're writing about such heavy topics.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cool. I'm very excited to read the new book and also the coming books. So, yeah.
Great.
I'd like to ask maybe one final question.
Yeah,
okay.
One thing, at least talking about Germany, the whole horror genre is in a state of, it's basically a niche. So there's not so much horror literature, and even the successful horror stories are not really above, in the mainstream.
Yeah.
It's a very, very niche thing.
Yeah.
Do you have the impression that in the English-speaking world, there's a difference? If you look at Hollywood, there are so many horror films.
Yeah.
There's Stephen King and other authors that you know spontaneously. And in Germany, it feels like nobody really has this how do you put it? The mood or the courage, even maybe to speak about uncomfortable things.
Yeah. I know horror is having a huge moment in the UK.
Yeah.
So I think that will probably feed into Germany. Maybe a little bit later on, but I think for sure it's been noted that, horror is just and fantasy as well, but horror is really thriving right now. And I think it's for the reasons that you mentioned, that I think women are eager to hear their stories reflected in this genre on their own terms, which they haven't previously been.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time. It was a great conversation. Denkt dran, wenn ihr noch einmal zum Festerstand kommen wollt, habt ihr jetzt noch die Gelegenheit dazu, euch eines der Bücher hier zu sichern. Wir werden das auf jeden Fall lesen und halten euch weiter auf dem Laufenden.
Ja, genau.
Vielen Dank.
Ja, thank
you very much.
Thank you.
The shadows of the night where whispers crawl, Isa and Jascha, they answer the call. Tales of terror, tales of dread, from the pages where the words have bled. Candles flicker, the arrows cold, as the stories of the dark unfold. Join a book club if you dare, in the realm of fear we share. Hey ho, let's mow through the midnight's eerie glow. Mysteries deep and hearts low. Hey ho, let's mow. Step inside, leave the light behind, in the gothic halls where secrets unwind. Lovecraft's shadows, Doyle's keen eye, bones of raven with haunting cry. Ghosts and ghouls, they take their place in every word, a chilling trace. Club is open, you see the waits. Enter now, before it's too late. Hey ho, let's bow through the midnight's eerie glow. Mysteries deep and hearts low. Hey ho, let's bow. Pages where nightmares creep, where the living dare not see. With this son Jascha, you guides through fear. Welcome to the club, we're glad you're here. Hey ho, let's mow through the midnight's eerie glow. Mysteries deep and hearts low. Hey ho, let's mow. So grab a book and take a seat. The story's here